is an extremely interesting read. It won't be at this time. Our decision has been not to distribute the document generally, and I caution people. If you go out on the Yahoo groups and whatever, and you start condemning, well, my friends, you are condemning your own future. You don't have to join us, but you certainly have to rise above your own ignorance that doesn't realize that when the patriot community demonstrates to actors working for a corporation, it is capable of nothing but fractionalization. It then invites the only weapon that they have against de jure lawful authority and against this massive communication system that Tom pointed out that is equal to theirs and in some ways exceeds theirs because of our access to so many different websites and venues. And that weapon that they have in reserve is something they've been using for millennium, and it is disinformation. And if you don't believe me, read Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil, which is available on the web. Tupper Saucy, by the way, was a great patriot, and this program is also dedicated to Tupper, who passed away last year, I believe. That controversy between patriots publicly is really nothing more than an invitation for greater disinformation and other weapons that induce discord among people who really have a common goal. So this document is not going to be put out, at least at this time, in general distribution. In fact, we still have a final polish to do, which won't take another day or two, but it will be available, at least initially, through the state coordinators, and will be on a very rapid joining covenant of office process that will get us to the minimum threshold of signatories. Now, the signatories, there is a page for each original free American republic, and in fact for all 50 republics. And those pages are incorporated as part of the document. And those who sign on, who take the covenant of office to join the guardians of the free republics and become a juror on the de jure grand juries, they will be signing 4 of those pages for 4 original copies that will be archived away and then certified by the 4 of us who, as architects of the process, are taking a position of overseers. And the best we could come up with was the term guardian elders, and that's not to propagate our glory. That's so that the people we deal with will understand that we've had our hand in this, and we're putting the full weight of our signatures as authentication of the entire original and authenticated copies of the original documents. All right, so we're going to a station identification in about 10 seconds. When we come back, there are a couple of other issues to address, and I'd also like to pay homage to one other party that led us to this point, 2 other parties that led us to this point as well. We'll be back in a moment.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Thank you very much. We're back, folks. It's hard for me to proceed in this program without commercial ads for super beta prostrate, but I'm going to do my best. And by the way, all of us on this program tonight probably could use a good dose of it. Given our age and seasoned contribution to the freedom movement. You know, Tom, you were very wise, as always, in pointing out that we are piggybacking on the successes and the research and the experiences of many other people. And we want to respect those people. We don't want to be considered competitors in any way. We respect what they have done and what they have accomplished. And one comes to mind who I'd like to mention here tonight, someone I learned a great deal from by listening to his early radio programs. And I recommend that you go there and listen yourselves if you don't have experience to understand what the distinction really is between the original institutions that came out of the Articles of Confederation, the Constitution itself, the meaning of that document, the authority, rightly or wrongly, of that document, and the place of these various events in history. His name is David Clarence, a most knowledgeable man, and this program is dedicated to David as well. David has also paid a price for arriving at the knowledge base that has contributed to where we're at now, because we're at the point now that is answering the question that people have had for a number of years. How do you get the military to intervene when no one else will, when you think you're out of your remedy? Let me emphasize again, we don't need the military to intervene. The beauty of personal growth, the beauty of spiritual growth, is that when the time comes that you no longer need to ask the question, you have arrived at the ability to seize the remedy by the fruits of your own labors. And that's where we're at now. If necessary, these de jure grand juries will do their jobs as functioning grand juries, possibly behind the scenes, possibly in the open. But when push comes to shove, a prosecutor in de facto law venue, or pretend law venue, or color of law venue, a de facto grand jury, and even judges at the highest levels of the government, judges who folded in the presence of Regan Duane when he was in his courtroom that they thought was theirs, they will fold their cards when confronted by properly organized guardians of the free republics and de jure grand juries across the land. The assembly, convening, organization, and covenant process is a victory in itself. And we only want people to join us who understand that. If you have doubts about that, if your stomach is doing butterflies at this moment and saying, I don't know if I could stand up if the time came that I had to, then you should not be a part of this process, because you are actually part of the remedy. The people who join must be part of the remedy. It is our knowledge of who we are that gives us the power. And who we are children of the Lord who take a back seat to no corporate actors. They work for us. Our forefathers created the circumstances that allowed the corporations to be formed and, in a sense, formed those corporations. And they work for us and are subservient to our orders in all ways. But along with that power that we will have, that authority that we will have, comes great responsibility. And we seek men and women, even if you're organized in other assemblies or other organizations of other types, if you are ready to take back your country from corporate subservience, then we are coveting your covenant with us in the presence of the Lord. Regan, how do you've had success walking in fearlessly into a number of different situations. What do you envision if a de jure grand jury had to act locally?
I don't really see any issues. Like I say, as long as you don't get out of hand and do it civilly, I don't see any issues arising. I mean, if one man can do it, folks, as Tom's demonstrated time after time, and yourself and others across the country, what about 26, good men and women together? What can they do? And one thing that's been lost in this the structure of what we call government is the executive branch, even though it's de facto, is the only branch of government that's in existence at this time. And what folks don't know is the grand jury is the branch of government of the United States of America. It always has been. So now you've got the executive branch and you've got the grand jury, and that's the only two branches of government in operation at this time.
At this time, the judiciary